So I became a young carer when my beautiful, big, strong, independent brother had a car accident. It wasn't just a car accident with broken bones that heal. It was a car accident that changed his life and mine forever. But my brother is more than his injury. He has a wicked sense of humor and loves deeply. Growing up, he was like another dad to me as we're extremely close. So of course, I stepped up and became one of his main carers at 16 years old alongside my mum and sister. As Māori, it's part of who we are. We're raised to care for our loved ones, siblings, and elders. It's part of our culture and it's ingrained in us. So to me, it was completely normal. But no one really talks about the stresses of caring. You hear about it from an adult's perspective, but no one ever talked about how that role can affect a young person. Stepping into an adult role with all this responsibility when you're so young can affect your mental health. I didn't even know how to process the trauma of the accident, our new normal, and how much our lives had changed, let alone the trauma of being a carer. The adults in your life tend to just tell you how good you are, how you're such a good sister, how you're so strong. Then they would ask, how's your brother? How's your family? What's going on? It was always in passing or like quick, nonchalant questions. So, did they really want to know? Like, what would they say if I said, I feel like I'm drowning? No adult truly sat me down alone to ask how I was. How can I help you? Is there anything that I can do for you? I'm here for you if you ever need to talk. I felt like no one saw me. No one was there for just me. No one saw the pain behind my smiles and laughter. And over time, my mental health declined. I didn't know anything about mental health back then, so I had no idea how to help myself. The stress took a massive toll on me. I was constantly worried about my big brother. My whānau was breaking in a mess, and our lives were so different. Sometimes I just wanted to be a kid. I wanted to be young, study, hang out with friends, do normal things, and live my life. But then I would constantly feel guilty for feeling that way and feel like I was the worst person in the world. Getting dragged into shifts because caregivers didn't show up was so hard. The agencies didn't care. I couldn't say no to mum because she was so exhausted, and then she would make me feel guilty if I didn't want to do it. So I sucked it up, buried my feelings, and tried to numb the pain with drugs and alcohol and carried on. I felt like I was drowning and couldn't see a way out, like the lid on my pressure cooker was going to burst. This is when I first started hurting myself. I started using broken glass and razor blades to relieve the pressure, always in hidden places so no one would notice. It was like my pot was so full that if anything happened on top of that, it pushed me over the edge. Like I could only take so much. I had no resilience to deal with other stressful situations besides caring for my bro, my whānau, and dealing with agencies. I did that for years. But I opened up to a family friend who told my mum, and I panicked. I panicked and made up a lie and never opened up to anyone again. I knew she told my mum because she was worried about me and loved me, but I felt like a burden and didn't want to add extra stress on my mum. She was already hanging in there by a thread, and I didn't want to make it worse. It got pretty bad one night. I grabbed a butcher knife and sliced my arm a few times. I remember lying there on the kitchen floor in a pool of my own blood as I had gone deep and just thinking, what am I supposed to do? I felt so alone and didn't want to do life anymore. It was just too hard. But then I thought of everything my family is going through and just lay there. I couldn't do that to them. That afternoon, I went around to my mum's to help my brother and acted like nothing happened. A few weeks later, they saw the deep cuts and I made up yet another lie. After that night, I reached out to counsellors for help. This is what the helpline said to do. And what other option was there? So I booked in for my hour session, and when I started to share what I was going through, they didn't understand. One told me that I should stop caring for my brother, which instantly made me shut down. It was my big brother, and that was my whānau, so why would I stop? I felt like she judged my whānau, judged my mum, who I was extremely protective of, so I never went back. Later, I tried another counsellor as my mental health was getting worse. But when I opened up, I felt like I was just another patient getting the same responses. After hearing the same generic thing from adults for the past 3 years, I began to give up. And she told me how strong I was, which triggered me. The same words I had heard from adults for 3 years, so I shut down again. I wasn't strong. On the surface, maybe, but on the inside, I was lost. I felt alone and was one meltdown away from removing myself from this world. My cousin, who always cleaned up my cuts, was worried about me and connected me with Shireen, a holistic healer. So I reached out to Shah and she came around to my house. As soon as I met her, I felt safe. In just 1 hour with Shah, I felt seen for the first time in 3 years. She saw every part of me. She saw through the smile and felt how lost I was. She told me that I didn't need to be strong all the time, that she knew I was hurting myself and that she could help me. And for the first time, I believed someone could, that she would be there for me. She told me she could see an amazing future for myself, even though I couldn't see it myself at the time. I started working with Shah. Over time, she started unraveling my trauma and began to heal the broken parts of me, the parts no one saw but her. She slowly helped me build my self love, self worth, and helped me understand that I was allowed to feel and didn't have to feel guilty for that. She made me feel important and showed me that I mattered. She never pushed me and always took it at my pace and slowly helped me see a future for myself. I told her I had always dreamed of becoming a lawyer, and she believed me. And you have to understand, I had dropped out of school when I was 14 at the end of year 10. I had done a bridging course at Wairiki when I was 17, but when I mentioned law school, they said I had to be realistic. So I lost hope, went back to drinking and partying in my free time. But with Shah's support with my mental health and her voice drowning out the negative voices, I went back to Wairiki again. I would study during the week, do sleepovers with my brother some weeknights because he required 24-hour care, and worked at the bar on the weekend. With Shah's support, I studied hard, completed a year of the social science degree, and earned enough credits to get accepted to study at Waikato Uni for the Bachelor of Laws. Law school was a huge cultural shift for me. My self-worth and self-love took a huge hit. I didn't make a lot of friends with students my age as my life was very different to theirs. They would talk about things that I couldn't relate to. They would meet up socially, hang out often, and had big corporate dreams. Like, come on. I went out clubbing, I think twice in the 5 years that I was studying in Hamilton. I had maybe one close friend in those 5 years. I was a high school dropout and I was studying law so I could be a health and disability lawyer to help advocate for families like mine. Although I lived out of town, I still had responsibilities as a young carer. My partner and I would travel to Rotorua most weekends so I could work with my brother. And if a caregiver didn't show up and my mum or sister couldn't work because they were sick, then I would have to drive back to help. My mum ended up in hospital. She was so stressed with the healthcare agencies, working too many hours with my brother and wasn't taking care of herself. We had a big fight with ACC as they couldn't find cover. So I had to again travel back and forwards to Rotorua to look after him. I was stressing trying to find someone to sit with him so I could drive back to Hamilton to sit each exam. There were so many times that I just wanted to give up because it was so hard. I didn't feel good enough. I felt more isolated because no one understood at uni. And I would stay up most nights just crying, trying to study while my husband brought me cups of tea, or partner at the time. But Shah was always there. She would continuously pick me back up, give me the boost I needed to carry on. No matter what time I reached out to her, day or night, she was always there. Holistic healing wasn't a job to her. I wasn't just a client or a patient. I mattered. With Shah's constant help with my mental health, and after 6 years of studying, I finally graduated from Waikato University with a Bachelor of Laws and Bachelor of Social Science and got admitted to the bar. Without her unwavering support through this process, there's no way I would have made it. My life was complex with constant hurdles that I had to get over. She gave me the tools to work on my mental health, to keep believing in myself, and most importantly, to not give up. She had the ability to reach me and understand me when no one else could. She didn't judge me, and she made me feel safe. I was one of those glass children where all the focus went on the person needing support, and everyone saw straight through me. Yet Shah helped me find me. I'm not saying that every young carer feels this way, but thousands do. Whether they're caring for a parent, auntie, or sibling with a disability or illness, or supporting family members with mental health conditions or addictions, raising siblings, or helping their koe and kaumātua, they all have their own individual journey and story. This is why I co-founded Unseen Heroes with Shah. Together, we've created a specialized program for other young carers so they too can get the help from Shah. We offer an alternative to an already overwhelmed mental health system. Mental health services and medication doesn't work for everyone. It's not a one size fits all. And we give them a space to just be kids and we help them flourish in whatever they decide to do. But we ran out of funding in January 2025. Our government funding we had lined up fell through as a flow-on effect from the new government. Te Puni Kokiri funded our first intake of 45 young carers from November to June 2024 this year, and philanthropic grants funded our intake of 36 young carers from July to December this year. We had lined up further government to get us through 2025, but we were told in August that this was no longer possible. In order to apply for a mental health contract with Health New Zealand to support our young carers, we have to have a minimum of 250,000 and a social impact report before we can even apply. And this is why we launched the crowdfunding campaign. We've tried every avenue possible, and we just need some help to get us through next year whilst we continue to advocate for young carers with the government. We can't give up on these kids. We can't let them fall through the cracks and remain invisible. If you can donate just $10, then you'll help us continue this work. If you can't afford to, then please share their stories, raise awareness, fundraise, or encourage others to donate who may be able to. We can't do this alone. To all the young carers out there, we're not giving up and we'll always be here for you. And I hope by sharing my story, Aotearoa will be here for you too. And with that, I just want to leave you with the whakatauki that we all know. Ia te me nui o te ao. He tangata, he tangata, he tangata.